Are you rolling?
Rolling.
Okay, serious face. Welcome back to P2TK9. I'm Chris, and we're bringing you another dog talk. This is going to be a special dog talk today. I've had assistance from my wife, who's on the camera right now. She's been on camera for me before, and you've seen Connor before on Instagram and in a couple of our other shorts that we've had on the channel. But today she's going to be an integral part of this. And then if you've also seen some of our shorts, wandering around here is Thomas, the Malinois name only. And the subject of today's video is going to be laser directionals. I had an account on Instagram hit me up about doing laser directionals, and I kind of typed out a direct message tutorial and tried to point that account in the right direction. But today, because I do get asked about this pretty frequently, I want to do a little bit of a demonstration. So it'll be, thankfully, a bit shorter of a video than me just talking into a phone for 3 hours like a part-time crazy person. So this one should be pretty informative because you get to see exactly how this process goes. The first thing you're going to need, we're out here in the shop. It's often a set for Instagram pieces as well as here on the channel. We're in a 30 by 50 outbuilding that has no windows, which is good because when we're going to do laser training, you're going to need a building that you can make at least semi-dark. It doesn't have to be blacked out, and I'm going to explain all of that as we go. But we don't have a completely blacked out building, but there are no windows, so that's going to help. You're going to need partial darkness to get this underway. What other things are you going to need? Most importantly, you're going to need a laser pointer of some kind. If you have an at-pill or D-ball or something that goes on a weapon or a weapon laser that shoots green. Why did I reference green? Because green shows up for dogs in the way they view color spectrum better than red. And also one of the reasons in the tactical world we've gone from, pardon me, from a red laser to green is because red on a dark shirt such as I'm wearing or other backgrounds, the red tends to get soaked up by dark backgrounds rather than reflect. However, green performs much better. Green reflects better off of dark backgrounds and other targets and even irregular surfaces better than the red. And at one point in time, I was imprinting a group of dogs on lasers, and the one that was presented to me that was available at the time was a red laser. And out of a group of, I believe, 6 dogs, about half of them started picking up on the red. And I said, this is unusual. I should be getting a 6 out of 6 because they were all high drive work quality dogs. And I said, let's stop what we're doing and go get a green laser. We switched to green. And in that same test group, in the same building, in the same venue, 6 out of 6 started recognizing the green laser and showing the kind of results that I'm used to, that I was looking for. So right there was also real world proof positive. If you're going to do this, green laser is the way to go. Now, these are available on Amazon. They're about $20. They are not cost prohibitive. They are rechargeable via USB plugs. And these things are great. Insanely bright for a consumer laser, how bright these things are. And we'll demonstrate that in a minute. But I've got 2 different examples. Both of these are highly visible during the day. And at night, I can probably pick these up pretty easily at maybe 700 yards. These things are absolutely phenomenal for the cost. So they are not cost prohibitive. The other thing that I like about this, that I always keep one of these with me if I'm going to do laser training or night work, if I've got a dog imprinted on it, is just for the safety factor. You can run with just an at-pill, a D-ball, some kind of aiming laser weapon system that goes on that has the visible green spectrum laser to direct your dog once you've imprinted them on that. But there may be times tactically where you don't want to lean out with your long gun to present that aiming laser in order to guide your dog. And then perhaps maybe tactically speaking, you don't want to risk sweeping part of your backup, assault force, whatever the case may be, with the muzzle of your weapon because you're trying to direct the dog with a visible aiming laser that's on your weapon. So having one of these in a pocket or somewhere on your kit where you can pull that thing out and direct your dog. And one of the other reasons we'll talk about as we get into this is sometimes as you get into these longer sends, you may have to start with that laser on the ground near you to get the dog tracking that laser point and then moving away to where you actually want them to go. And if we're talking about that laser being part of your sighting system on your weapon, you may not want to be, or even be convenient to have your long gun sweeping around trying to get the dog to identify it in the near short range area to get them out to where you want them to be. So because these are so cheap and they're rechargeable and extremely bright, it's pretty nice to have one of these on your kit somewhere if you want to do laser directionals. Other materials we're going to need, you're going to need an ammo can of some kind. The one that I'm demonstrating right here today is plastic. I've done this many, many times with a metal can. The plastic ones are pretty safe for the dogs. I've never had a problem with the metal, but all things being equal, if the dog bumps into this or hits it and the lid comes down, the plastic weighs less. It doesn't have as much of a chance of pinching the dog's nose or something silly like that. And as we all know, when you're dealing with working dogs, there's always something that can go wrong. And if it can go wrong, it will. So the plastic ones are nice and light. If it falls down, it's not going to devastate the dog psychologically. Metal ones work fine too, but the size matters. So don't use the narrower 30 cal can. Get you a 50 cal or larger. Don't go crazy. Don't get you a 20 millimeter can that's this deep, because the dog has to go and put their head down into the can. Okay, hold on. You need some airflow in here, cameraman? Okay, no problem. Let me get some fans. I'll step out and I'm back. So with that being said, you want to use the 30 cal can. It's got the right depth to it and enough width where the dog's face and head can go in there comfortably. And if you do the VLK protocol box imprintation method, and which I do, if you do that, you're going to know that when you start with your big whole box, you want something nice and big and comfortable because you want the dog to go over here and feed from the box and get a toy out of it. So you want enough room where the dog doesn't feel claustrophobic or apprehensive going in here to retrieve the toy. And on that same note, I referenced the larger cans, a 20 mil or something. You don't want them so deep that now the dog is intimidated to be able to put their face all the way to the bottom and pull the toy out. So the 50 cal-ish size can or slightly bigger is the exact sweet spot you want to be in. You're going to get you a can, just any old piece of generic aluminum foil, and we're going to just wrap the aluminum foil to the inside of the lid to make us a reflective surface, and I'll show you exactly what that is all about. By the way, business partner, wife, and part-time cameraman, if you have any questions, you also have a considerable dog resume yourself. If any questions come to mind during this or I'm leaving any gaps, please let me know so I can include that. So on behalf of the viewers, you need to ask intelligent questions or hit me up where I'm leaving it short, okay? Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. So with that being said, we're going to put a little bit of aluminum foil on the inside of our box just for extra pop and sparkle. Once we get this thing going, I'm going to put this over here. And you don't need a special building. You don't need a setting that's really somehow specific to get this whole thing started. This is very, very simple. We've got our Malinois name only who chases a toy sometimes. He has never been exposed to this laser training, so we're going to kind of let him participate a little bit at first to see how this goes. And if it works out, we'll use him, and if it's not, then we're going to boot him outside. So with that being said, just taking the room as it is right now, not doing anything special. Emptied the vehicles and all the other stuff out of the way so we can move around in here. But just pick you a wall. The building can be more bare. I've done it in just concrete floor and cinder block wall buildings that were appropriately dark enough. And sit it next to a wall or an object with a backstop and just prop the lid up. So in the military community, whenever you use a laser and you're spotting something, we would call it sparkle or lasso. So we're going to use a small lasso right on the lid of the aluminum foil once we mark our target. And this is basically just going to be a one-for-one exercise for the dog. See the sparkle, follow the sparkle, pick up your reward, and rinse and repeat. So with that being said, I've propped up one of the bay doors with a 4x4 block. Connor, go ahead and hit the lights for me. How's that look on camera? Can you still see me? Getting a thumbs up. Can you sort of see the box a little bit? Perfect. So I had a toy over there on the table. I put the ball in my pocket. It's one of these Chuck It balls that Thomas, the Malinois name only, really enjoys. Whatever your favored toy is for your dog, that's all you need. And then you've got the laser. So I'm going to give baby girl a laser and the toy. I'm going to have the second laser just in case I need one to do some kind of last minute demonstration. So we're going to discuss exactly what we're going to do prior to the first rep. So you're going to have a helper slash assistant, which I'm going to be the helper assistant for this one. Our handler is going to have the toy and a laser, which she does, and she's going to be holding the dog. Once I tell her, go ahead and just stim the dog a little, don't go crazy on your toy stimulation. If you just need to hold the dog by the collar or a leash and show the dog your toy or bounce it a couple of times, you're just going to make the dog aware that you've got the toy, and then you're just going to roll it across the floor to the helper, which is going to be me. I'm going to catch it, and then I'm going to do a palm up deposit of the ball into the box. And then without a whole lot of fanfare, I'm just going to step back a couple of feet and open up the target to the dog. The handler, being baby girl, is going to sparkle the lid. Go ahead and practice that. Sparkle the lid for me. As she sparkles the lid, she's going to release the dog and allow the dog to come over here. Now, when the dog is closing in, when the dog is about here, 3-ish feet from the target, you're going to stop right here, 3-ish feet out before the dog goes in. Why are we stopping that far out? Because this thing, both of these, go ahead and shine that back on our target, baby girl. These things are insanely bright. I talked about how effective these things are for $20 on Amazon and that I can see them at 700 plus yards at night. Very, very well. Go ahead and stop. These things, you don't want to cause damage to the dog's eye. And because we are hitting this crinkled up aluminum foil background and creating that sparkling effect, it's refracting and reflecting and bouncing everywhere. I don't want one of these beams to hit the dog in the eye. We don't want them to become hesitant about coming over here, and we certainly don't want to cause eye damage. So right here is about our safety mark, about 3 feet out. Then we're going to take the laser away and allow the dog to complete on memory from seeing it, and then eventually in later reps they're going to come in and finish this exercise on nose. Because, well, I won't jump ahead in the coverage. We'll just cover it as we get there. So with that being said, we're going to demonstrate repetition number 1. So, baby girl, you're the handler. You're not holding on to the dog. We'll see if he wakes up when you bounce that ball. Go ahead and bounce it like you would demonstrate. We're showing the dog, oh, he's got a toy. Yep, that got his attention. So now, kneel down there and kind of hold him with your laser hand. Go ahead and roll me the toy. So call him back to you. So if our dog was restrained, that's okay. If our dog was restrained, I would do this. Connor Sparkle. So he's Malinois name only. It's confused him that the ball has gone into the box. Get your toy, Thomas. Hey, look at that. Oh, go ahead and get the toy from him. Walk over there and grab it. Thomas. Oh, it's so hard to find good help. But anyway, that's what our first rep is going to look like. Is they're going to roll the toy to me. I'm going to drop it. Go ahead and roll to me. So we roll a little bit slower than that, baby girl. It's fine. So you're just going to roll it nice and easy over to the helper. The helper's going to drop the toy just like we would. I referenced the protocol boxes earlier in the big whole box. I'm not trying to make it a secret that the toy is over here. I want the dog to know there's something of value. So right now, if you're talking in protocol box odor imprintation terms or even clicker terms, I'm charging this object. I'm loading this object. I'm giving it, oh nice, he checked the box on his own. I'm giving it some kind of value by letting him know there's a toy in play. He gets to somewhat see it because again, we're in a partially lit room, not a blacked out room. And then he's going to see me drop it in here, and then I'm no longer a part of this. I'm not trying to stem or create attention or draw attention to. I'm just going to back up. Come here, Thomas. Come here. I'm just going to back up and get out of the way on these first few reps where we're doing a drop. So from here, come here, Thomas. Come here. Come here. Sparkle. Sparkle, sparkle. Get your toy. Go get your toy. And stop. 3 feet out. Sniffs. Woohoo! That a Thomas! That a good boy! Look at that dog! Look at that Malinois! Good boy. You stay. So, that's going to be our first 2 or 3 reps. We're going to have the handler roll the toy over. Our helper is going to catch the toy and let the dog see it getting loaded into the box. And that'll be our orientation, our charging, our loading of the box to make this thing have value. So as we move along, we're going to quit teasing, stemming, and rolling the toy over. We're going to have 2 of the same toy. So when the dog comes and retrieves it out of the box, the helper, while the handler is over there praising the dog and loving him up and getting back the first toy, I'm going to already have a second one. And I'm just going to nonchalantly go ahead and load the box. Come here, Thomas. Nope, come here. I'm just going to go ahead and load the box and then come all the way back to the handler. So the assistant, now that I'm back over here, come here. Come here, Thomas. Turn around. Turn around. All right. Sparkle. Get your toy. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. 3 feet out. Stop. Hey, atta boy, look at that Malinois. Look at that Malinois.
Down on the bed.
So while he's on retrieve and then he's on the way back, the handler gives me, we're going to do this toy swap. So now the dog has toy number 2. I get toy number 1 from the handler. While they're praising and our handler is taking the toy away, I'm going to come back down and I'm going to load the box and I'm going to come all the way back. So we're phasing out the need to have the toy roll down there. The dog knows that the toy's over there. They know what the box is. They're starting to pair that with seeing the laser and following that to their reward. So now we're just going to do the drops. How many of this are we going to do? We're going to do probably 2 or 3 having the helper drop it in. Then we'll probably do 3, maybe 4 of the helper going over and putting the second toy in and sending the dog with everybody on this side of the room and having the dog pick it up. Now we're going to go into moving the target. So we're still going to maintain, you stay, having our box with the reflective lid on it. But now the variable is going to be, does the dog understand that the laser has significance? So we're going to shift it left and right of the original location. It's okay. I'll get him. Come here. Tater, come here. Come here, Tom Tom. Come here.
What are you doing?
So this is where things start to change a little bit, and we'll see if Thomas can pick up on this. As you are doing this, imprinting it on a new dog, the key piece is for you. Step back just a little, baby girl, where I can see the camera. The big part here, if you could see, maybe that translates on camera, Thomas was looking where the box was in the prior reps. What I'm looking for as the handler, because once I come back and we've moved the box and we're into the next phase, I'm going to take over with the laser if I'm the assistant / trainer, and the handler is going to need to see when the dog recognizes the laser. Does that make sense, Dot? She's shaking her head yes. Okay. Because if we have the dog paying attention to the old location and then the helper starts sparkling the target, but the dog's looking the wrong way, we want the dog to show us that they understand the intent of the laser. Go ahead and sparkle. Oh, what's that? Thomas, look. What's that? Keep sparkling. Hit that aluminum foil. Where's your toy? Because right now he's not looking at it. So shine down here on the there. Whoop, shine on the floor. Good, good. Track it back to the find your toy. So again, right there is exactly what I don't want to have happen. He doesn't, and of course this is a very truncated. We haven't gone through all the steps, but look at that dog hunt as much as a Malinois name only will hunt. Where's your toy, Tater? He's going to the location, but we've only done 2 reps over there. We're shortening this for demonstration purposes, but this also illustrates what you don't want to have happen. Because we've only done 2 retrieves, that's okay, stop, baby girl. Because we've only done 2 retrieves, he's still looking at the last known location. The laser doesn't have enough significance to him to follow it over there and to say, oh, it's the green dot that matters, not the same place that I just got it twice in a row. So for a rather low hunt rescue pet, he's hunting all over trying to find where that toy went, but he didn't understand to just follow the laser. He's actually putting more effort into this than what it requires. Hey, what about right there? Hey, look at you. So that is a good illustration of what we're looking for, is to make sure that the dog has understanding that the green laser has significance. So because we're kind of doing this on the fly shorthand, we did 2 reps right there, and then we went to moving it and we preloaded the box. Thomas does not yet have an understanding that that sparkle, that green dot has any value to it. And on memory, he's going back to the last place that it was located. So when you are the handler and baby Groot. So with that being said, when you are the handler and we're moving into the next phase of this where you begin to shift the target, it is of absolute importance that the dog goes heads up and you're kind of looking between their ears and you see that moment where the dog recognizes, oh, I see that green dot over there, and that's when you release the dog. If you go too early or you go too late, you miss that window, then we have lost the ability to make that connection land. So, backlit. I got you. That makes sense. Makes total sense. So now we've got 2 toys in play. We're going to see if we can do this a little more professionally, doing it right. But again, we're skipping a lot of steps here for the purposes of brevity and to explain how this would go. So while Thomas is holding one toy, I'm going to go and I'm going to preload with a second toy. Boom, it's in. Come here, Tot. Give me that toy. Come here. Come here. Turn around, Potato. All right, Connor, Sparkle, come here. Hey, come here. Turn around. Not yet. Hey. Give me. Let me see. Thomas. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Okay, this is the part. We're having an animal shelter rescue Malinois name only kicks in. And also skipping, hey, where's your toy? He's Malinois name only. So, anyway, here you go. You can have your laser back. At this point, we're beginning to shift the target, and we're going to make sure that the dog shows us that recognition. One of my favorite postures at this point, one of my favorite behaviors, don't shine it in his eye, baby girl. You got to be careful. When he turns around, it got him on the cheek right then. If that hit him in the eye, that would be no good. So my favorite behavior at this point is if I'm sparkling the target, to see when the dog is kind of panting and looking around. The minute the dog's mouth shuts and they quit breathing and they lean forward just a hair, that is when I'm sending that dog. Yeah, you have a question?
I think skipping that step where the handler has a hold of the dog and show the dog. So the handler will have the toy and you'll have the toy. I think that skip step Thomas was.
Well, obviously, I stated that.
Well, I know. I don't know if you want to just circle back to it.
No, because this isn't quality. You know this. This is not a quality specimen for us to try to demonstrate doing this on. I mean, we're asking a lot here for what is Thomas's, since you're on the subject and you're wanting to use him as a stunt dog in this, what, no, stop. Just answer the question. When you're playing toy with him, what is your number one complaint?
About his barking?
No. That once you throw the toy and he chases it, what's the number one pet peeve you have with him once he runs it down? Not always. What's the number one complaint? What's the number one complaint? Answer the question.
That he drops it.
Exactly. He doesn't bring it back. So again, we're talking about a dog that doesn't have great working attributes.
We're 20 minutes in, and you're trying to show how to do this. If we can make this with Thomas, anybody can do this with a dog. Let's just try it. I feel like.
All right, Connor, stop. Let me grab something off the wall right here. Do some quick administrative stuff here. Oh, hey, look at there. There's a collar in the dark. Awesome. Come here, dog. Come here. So we'll put a collar on him. All right, Connor. Come here. Just hold him by the handle. Wait. Sparkle. Sparkle the lid. Again, he's staring directly at me because it's Dad and Thomas. This is not a super high focused working dog. Send him.
No.
Hey, Tater, get your toy. Look at that drive. Insane levels of drive. This is the perfect specimen. I have destroyed my reputation, such as it is, all in one video. Look at that drive to return to handler. Woo! Oh, look, he passed a dog bed and is going to circle back. Oh, look at all that drive. Oh, he sees the other dog bed that's on the side-by-side most of the time. Yeah, we're killing it. This is hitting all the right notes right here. All right. So we're going to leave Thomas out of it. This is our phase 2 is shifting our box with the aluminum foil left and right of the original location in this room. Once you're preloading the box with the second toy and The helper is coming all the way back prior to sparkling with the laser, making sure that the dog shows that good change of behavior, that they recognize that something is there, and we are sending that dog, and they're picking that ball up at the box, and they're pretty much tracking that laser. Now we can go to the next phase, which is just the toy all by itself. So once that sparkle to the box, the dog's picking it up and recognizing it, our apparatus is going to go away. Now, because we are changing something, we only want to add one stressor at a time. So I started right here in the middle with our box. Then we went to phase 2, which is shifting the box to the left and to the right of the original position. The dog is reading and recognizing, picking that up and moving with it and having successful retrieves from the box. So now I'm changing something. I'm taking the box out, but I'm going to go back to the original start position, and I'm going to put the toy right there on the ground. We're also still maintaining our low light level. So I'll come back here, we'll get the dog, and we'll go into this phase, holding the dog and sparkling just where the toy is at, and we'll lasso the toy, wait for the dog to show recognition, and then we will send the dog to go and make the retrieve without benefit of having that box in the aluminum foil. And we'll do probably 2 at the first position, and then we'll move again left and right, putting the toy just somewhere in this building amongst all this other stuff, and teaching the dog to go right to the laser and finding that toy on a one-to-one basis. Now, once this thing starts moving ahead and we're going to a more advanced level, I would go to a building that's even a little more dark. So we just took away our light source from the bay door. Can you see me at all through the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a little bit of light in here. We've got it around the doors, a little bit leaking in with the exhaust fan there. But with that being said, this is a whole lot darker to the dog, and I'm going to show you exactly how much light this thing can bring. I mean, these lasers, these green ones, even these consumer models off of Amazon are very bright. You can illuminate actually quite a bit on the back end of this thing with that laser, especially depending on the background target. So now we advance into the next phase by taking away more light and making the dog trust that laser even more to go to that lasso and follow it. And again, we're waiting to about within 2 or 3 feet of that to take that light away so that it doesn't reflect into the dog's eyes, or the dog turns their head left or right at the last second, and we hit them in the eye with it and cause any kind of a medical situation, or just make them reluctant to go over there to the laser because it's an ouchie. So these things are super bright. Here's one of the downsides though. When people ask me, have I done laser training? Is it something that's useful? It absolutely can be. And the account that reached out to me was in direct response to the CQB Part 1 and Part 2 video. And one of the downsides to it that I explained to that account was, now we're back into Tactics 101 and light discipline. So the reason that I like the handheld is just like with the old adage of either do you want a handheld white light or do you want a weapon mounted white light. With at least this handheld, I can have cover and concealment and reach out a little bit, but I can illuminate a pretty long hallway or a big span. If a dog is in a hallway and I can make out an open door, but the dog just quite can't, if I hit that with this laser, I can provide quite a bit of illumination down there for the dog to go into that doorway and recognize it as open. But again, does that translate pretty good on camera, Dot? Look at me. So do I stand out pretty easily with this laser on?
Yes.
There's the downside. So when we're talking Tactics 101 and we go into light discipline, me standing over here pointing out where I want the dog to go pretty much highlights exactly where I'm at. So If that is a tactical consideration in your hit, just be aware of that obviously anything light or laser is a two-way street. It helps you see things or go places that you need to go, but then it also helps bad guys be aware of your presence and know that you're down there. So with that being said, baby girl, go ahead and flip the lights on for me, the overheads, please. Now we're talking, what do we do after the fact? How do we actually make this something useful? So the same philosophy, the same principle that I have with teaching building clears and patterns, I'm going to pair my laser with a toy retrieve because I want them to have that immediate one-for-one reward of you follow the green light, you go over there and put a little bit of nose work in, you're going to go ahead and find that reward. Yes, you can. And during my time in Saudi Arabia doing the patrol-only train-up with Dutch Chris Moyer, we absolutely took this to very long distances of sending dogs to a bite in the dark in total blackout conditions successfully with these dogs by lassoing a decoy, and the dogs picked up on that and were absolutely excelling with it. With that being said, I don't start with that because I don't want the dog going somewhere and automatically thinking bite. The same way that I explained in the CQB video when people say, oh, well, if my dog goes over there and we've taught him to follow the laser for a toy, I don't want my dog in a patrol setting to go over there and there's a bad guy and then they don't bite. They're just sniffing on the ground looking for a toy. It won't happen. I can prove that it won't happen. I guarantee you I could go over there, fill up this 5-gallon bucket with tennis balls or Kongs, and I could put on a suit and stand right here in this corner, and I don't have a working dog that will come over here and put their head in that bucket and grab tennis balls rather than come over here and immediately jack me up. If you have a dog that you are using that has gone through a basic course, an advanced course, and maybe a seminar, and your dog will go over there and grab toys out of a bucket rather than a guy standing in a suit right there, you've probably got the wrong dog. And if you need a patrol element to your canine program, you probably need to reassess and go find a different dog. Pairing that, following a laser with a toy over there is not going to impact long-term, big picture, your dog's response to a dude who is standing over there either in real world terms without a suit or in training terms with a suit. Follow this model and then go and set the exercise up for yourself. I guarantee you, your dog is going to grab the guy standing there in the suit, even if there are toys all over the ground around him. Just not even a question. So, with that being said, where do we take this whole system now that the dog is following it? What are the actual ways that we can implement this? And what I'm going to do in very short order when you're talking about a program that has a detection capability, now I'm going to put a step in between the dog following the laser and getting that toy. So given the building that we're in, I've got a caged wall locker right here. If I've been teaching the dog to follow the laser and all of that is going good, I'll probably put a detection aid here inside of this cage. And then as we begin to move this into real world usage, I'm going to open the dog's target window a little bit bigger than exactly where the laser is at. At first, it's going to be a very small window. I want the dog to see the laser and respond to the laser, and when he gets over there very close to the vicinity of that target, the reward is going to be right there. But in real world terms for working, now I want to expand that window of the dog's understanding of where that reward or that item may be. So if I was hiding a toy in the corner and the dog was responding to it, I'll probably move right over here to the other corner of this wall locker and put me a bomb aid in there, and then I'll send the dog to this corner, and then I'm going to look for the dog to get over here and then be introduced to the presence of odor of that bomb aid, and then have them go ahead and do their stimulus response reward. And then I'll throw the toy over here, reward from the other side of the room, or do a mark and pay if your dog's on final and you want to okay and call them back and then pay from the handler. Either way, but we're going to start broadening the area to which they think that it's possible that this lasso has something productive. And then we're going to take away that initial 1-for-1. Every time I point a laser, there's going to be a toy, and then put a work component into that. Follow the laser. Trust me, go over there. I, the handler, am telling you through the use of this laser that if you go over there, there could be something productive. And by doing so, get over there and start using your nose and put a little bit of effort into it and see what you can do to create a positive outcome on your end. And maybe if I still got a couple of video clips left, we may add that to the end of this video in demonstration purposes. If I was on the exterior of a building and I'm sparkling the door as the dog is about 3 or 4 feet away, I'm going to kill the lasso, and then maybe out here somewhere 3, 4, 5 feet away in a varying pattern around this doorway, I may put a bomb hide. So if I'm in a program where I tactically want to send my dog and have them do a little bit of a pre-entry clearance for bombs or bomb-making material around that door, now I've opened the dog's window of understanding up, and I've started making them conduct a work-related exercise as they move up to the door. And I'll start having bomb aids out here and having that dog find bombs or even make the door itself. Don't set patterns. Go back and look at the fundamentals of canine detection, one of the prior videos in the series. I may even at some point go in there, and if this were the door to the exterior of a building, go ahead and put me a bomb aid under the threshold. And other than just that 3 or 4 foot radius, I'll also start showing the dog, hey, come up here and check the seam of this door. And you can do that with bomb aids and with bad guys. If you can think it up, you can put it into play. You can be in a building and set the dog up for that intelligent disobedience. If we were in this building and it had a hallway and some additional doors on the right-hand side, just to proof my dog and teach them to be paying attention, if that black placeboard on the wall is the end of the hall, I may send the dog down this hallway and be lassoing the end of the hallway as where I want the dog to go. But what I really just need is for the dog to go deep on this hallway. So I may lasso that, and then on one of these adjoining rooms at an open doorway, have a decoy right here on the threshold, creating this big scent picture right here into the hallway, and sparkle the end of that hallway and have the dog run the hallway looking for the laser and hit this giant pool of scent right here and just lock down the brakes and say, oh, I was following a laser, but now I smell a guy right here, and boom, go ahead and grab that guy. As with all things, we want the dog to be obedient to odor or scent, as the case may be, because as Cameron Ford points out and is correct to do so, let's keep those discussions separated. Odor is our inanimate objects, our firearms, ammunition, bombs, bomb-making material, or other components your dog is imprinted on. And then our scent, we're talking about humans, tracking, patrol procedures where you have a human in play. So I want that dog to be obedient to scent or odor, as the case may be. Having the laser and getting the dog to recognize the laser as being a potential productive cue for them to go to a particular spot and check on it is great. But if they are not obedient to scent or odor that they run through on the way to that, is it as effective as it could be for our canine programs? That makes sense, Dot? So when we send the dog, I don't want him so obedient to the laser knowing that he's on a 1-for-1 going down there and grabbing a toy, that he runs past a bomb or runs past a bad guy in our scenario. So that's where you take this thing long term. And once in a while, even once you start expanding this out and you're bringing that element into it of the obedience to odor or intelligent disobedience, where I have trained them to follow the lasso, and as they're going to it, if there is something that they recognize from working training as productive, I want them to peel off and deal with that and not just run down here mindlessly chasing the little green bunny in the dark. So that's where you take it long term. Now, don't make them give up on your laser. In your training, just like with anything else, sometimes put the toy, the bad guy, or your detection odor exactly where you're lassoing. On a 1 in 8, 1 in 10 ratio, always come back to exactly where the laser is pointing is exactly where I want it to be. That's just basic variable reward schedule 101, is making sure that even though they recognize the laser, we don't extinct it out as an exact target all the time. Is that good? All of that's square? Any questions whatsoever? Alibis, fill-ins, gaps, things that I left on the table? None of the above? Thomas is all over the cameraman because the cameraman's got a toy. And then I've got toy number 2. And, well, anybody that's got a working quality dog will know instantly, right? The working quality dog would have flipped out trying to grab both toys and then would be tearing everything out of that corner to get the second one. But he's our beloved family member and pet, and came out of the animal rescue. He will grab a mouse out here in the shop if we get him on it, and he likes to chase squirrels, so he's somewhat of a rodent dog, and toy dogs sometimes a little bit. Anyway, that's what we've got for you on laser directional training. Useful tool. Know the things that it has going for it. Also know the tactical disadvantages to it. And if you have any questions, if you need further information, as always, you can hit me up, email on the website, or you can go over to P2TK9 on Instagram and send me a DM. I respond to all of them. Just let me know who you are, establish some bona fides, and we'll be glad to help you out over there. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.